we have completed our implementation for order service APIs and everything except security. So in this video, we are going to start building our notification service. From the order service perspective, we have implemented all the logic to take a request and then persist the information into DB and then publish an event to RabbitMQ. So now in our notification service, we are going to consume those events and then send email notification to the users. So let's get started. Let's go to start.spring.io and create our notification service. So here in start.spring.io, I have provided the project metadata, the artifact name as notification-service, and then package name as com.sivalabs.bookstore.notifications. I have selected the Java version as 21, packaging type as jar, and then here I need to select what are all the features I want to use in my application. So based on that, I need to select the dependencies. Though we are not going to implement any web API endpoints, but still we are going to expose our metrics and all in the future videos. So I have selected Spring Web, and Spring Boot Dev Tools and Configuration Processor is for development time purpose. And we are going to use again spring-data-jpa, Flyway migration, PostgreSQL. Here, if you remember, we have used outbox pattern in our order service where we are going to keep publishing the order events to RabbitMQ. And for any reason, if it fails in the next job run, we are going to again read all those messages in the order events table and then publishing it. So there is going to be a chance that you may receive, notification service is going to receive duplicate events. So what we are going to do, we are going to maintain a table here in the order notification service and keep storing all the event IDs so that if we receive any new event, first we'll check whether we have already processed this or not. If our table contains that event ID already, then we are going to simply log it and then discard processing it. So for that, we are using spring-data-jpa with PostgreSQL. And the main key point is we need to consume the events from RabbitMQ, and we're going to apply some validations. And once we receive those events, we need to send the emails to the users, and we are going to use this Java mail sender for that, and actuator and test containers. So once you select all these dependencies, then click on generate, and it is going to download the notification service project. And now you can copy this folder notification service and then go to our project and paste the folder here. So it is going to add this notification service. So this is going to contain the bare minimum project with a basic set of project code. So here you can see this is containing the bare minimum application, and it has all the selected dependencies and everything. And we can add this module into our parent root project. Okay. Now we have the basic project here. We are going to change it like the way we build our application like other services, order service. So let us go ahead and update the notification service initial code to change it to similar to our other services. In some ways, notification service infrastructure is very similar to our order service. Like it has integration with RabbitMQ, it has integration with PostgreSQL database. So we can reuse the same configuration which we have in order service for our notification service as well. So let us start with our pom.xml. So here is our pom.xml of order service. So let me copy this configuration, spotless maven plugin and Docker image name, and I'm going to paste it into the properties. Then we are going to copy all the customizations for Spring Boot Maven plugin. We have configured the Docker image name and a different builder and build info. So git commit ID plugin and spotless Maven plugin. So we are going to copy all these three plugin configurations. So here I'm going to replace this with 3 plugin configurations. And what else we need? Okay, so I think we can leave it for now like this. And now let us go to order service properties configuration. So here let me just take everything from here and then go to application properties of notification service. So I'm going to remove this, and our notification service is going to run on port 8083, and here instead of orders it is going to be notifications. So let me change it here, because we are going to listen to messages from all these queues. So we are going to configure same exchange and same queue definitions here, and we don't have any jobs in this. And here we are going to create a new database for notification service, and we are going to expose that on a different port 35432, and that is it. And RabbitMQ configuration is fine, and we are not going to use any resilience for J in this notification service. So this is fine. And now let us copy our order service application properties here. So I'm going to paste it here. Here it is supposed to be notifications, and we don't need catalog service URL here, so I'm removing that. And also here I will say configuration properties can enable that. Okay, we have this configuration in place, and we need to have our RabbitMQ configuration as well. So it is almost same, it is exactly same. So I'm going to just copy this config package itself and then paste it under notifications, but we don't need this scheduler configuration, so I'm going to delete that. And RabbitMQ configuration, so it is not orders, it is notifications. Yeah, so RabbitMQ configuration is good, and we don't need these static and templates in our notification service. And when it comes to test infrastructure, we have some common abstract integration tests and all that. So let us copy this containers configuration. This is common here as well, abstract integration. We don't need wire mark, so let me delete that. And we are also not going to test any API endpoints, so we don't need rest assured as well, so I'm going to delete that. Here we don't need this as well, so basically we don't need anything in this abstract IT. Okay, we have bare minimum configuration. In our containers configuration, we have both PostgreSQL and RabbitMQ configuration. This is fine. And here we need to remove this and extend from abstract IT. This is also fine. And here, if you remember, we are not defining all these containers in this class itself. Instead, we moved them to containers configuration. So I'm going to change here to containers configuration. Okay, so we are good here as well. I think we have core configuration ready. Just let us start and let us configure our dependency for another database in infra. So we can take this order DB configuration and we can configure it to notifications DB and update this here as well, and expose this on host 35432. Order DB is on 25432, catalog DB is on 15432. So we are exposing on 35432. So this is also fine. Now what we can do, Now we should be able to simply restart the infrastructure and start our notification service. We should be good enough to start the application. Okay, let's do that. Now let me go and see. So there are no containers running our infrastructure services. So let me go to console, and we have task restart infra task, which will start all the infra components here. So now we should be able to see all the catalog service database, order service database, and notification service database, and RabbitMQ all should be started in this. So it is going to take some time, and meanwhile what we can do, we can implement a listener that are going to consume events from the RabbitMQ. So if you remember, we have implemented earlier for demonstration purposes in the order service itself to consume those events. So let us do one thing. First, let us check what information we are publishing from order service. So from here, if we take a look at jobs, events publishing job. So here we are publishing various events. So like this order created event. So we have various order created event, order delivered event, order cancel event, order error event. So these are the payloads that we are publishing from our order service. So we need similar components in our consumer side also, like on the notification service. So I'm going to create this domain models package and copy some of those which are required to consume. So here in our notifications package, I'm going to create a sub package called domain.models, and here I'm going to copy those event records: one created event, delivered event, order error event, and in addition to them, I think we also need customer address, order item as well. So let me copy them to models. So here this is fine, these are all fine, no errors, so everything is all right. So now here in our notification package, let us create a class. Let's call them as events dot order event handler. Okay, so this is going to be a Spring component, and here it is, we are going to write void handle order created event. Okay, and we are going to use rabbit listener, and queues is we are going to use the spell expression, Spring expression language. So here we are going to use the key that is defined here. We don't need this, and we are going to take this key and place it here. So this is going to listen to this queue, and it receives the payload. It is going to call this method, and we are going to simply log it here. Okay, so simple, there is nothing complex logic. First we are going to check whether we are able to publish the event from order service, and we are able to see it or not in the notification service. So let us check whether all these services are up and running. Now cool, now let us start all these services. So here first let us start with catalog service, and let us start order service, and finally let us start notification service as well. And let us go to localhost 15672. So this is the RabbitMQ GUI and guest. So exchange is created and all the queues are defined. So seems everything is fine. Now let us go ahead and place a valid order. So here we are creating a new order by placing an order on order service. So it is created successfully. Now we should be able to see the log statement in the notification service. So here order created event, and we can see it received with event ID and order number. So 4F2F, so 4F2F. So the same message is consumed from the notification service. So all the components are configured fine. Now let us go ahead and implement the actual logic. Next, let us create our notification service class in the domain package, which actually contains sending the email notifications to the users. So here I'm going to create a notification service, and it's going to be a service, and here I'm going to copy the code because I don't want to keep typing it all over the place. So here what we are doing in the notification service, we are injecting application properties and Java mail sender. If you remember, while generating the project, we have added Java mail support here, springboot starter mail. So we are going to use Java mail sender to send the emails to the users. So we are going to inject it, and we need to configure which email service we want to use. But in this demo, we are not going to use the actual any email service provider. Instead, we are going to use a tool called MailHog, which we can use for demonstration purposes. So we have this mail sender, and there are multiple methods created to handle each notification type. So first one is when we have a order created event, we have this send order created notification. So here I am just in plain text, I am preparing this email content, but if you prefer, you can use time lift templates and then dynamically replace those values and all. But to keep it simple, I have created this message as a simple text itself. So here we have some placeholders to replace with the dynamic values. So when a new order is placed, we are going to send the mail notification to the user. So we have this placeholder. This is supposed to be the event.customer name, and your order with order number, some placeholder, which is nothing but event.order number has been created successfully. Thanks Bookstore team. And then we are simply logging to the console, and then we are also calling this send mail method, and we are passing to whom we need to send and what is the subject line and the actual content, which is nothing but message. So similarly, we have for order delivered notification, again we have same simple text here, and we are replacing with the actual values for these placeholders. Similarly, there is order cancellation, and it also includes why it is cancelled. So there is a placeholder that and for all these we are sending the emails to customer. But when it comes to order error, this is not something we should be sending to customer. Instead, we should be sending it to our support team. So here what we are going to do, we are going to add a new field called support email in our application properties. So here I'm going to create a new property called support email, and I'm going to configure that here notifications.support email. I'll configure just for the demonstration siva@gmail.com or sivalabs.com. Okay, so now we have this configuration in place, and let me close it. Okay, so here we are sending we are calling send email, and here if you remember hi %s, here instead of customer email we are sending this. Ideally this is also not right. Here maybe we can hard code saying that hi bookstore team here, and yeah, we need to send this to this email. Okay, so here we don't need to send this. Instead, hi team, we can do like that. But here we are calling send email method, which takes who is the recipient and subject and content. Okay, so here we are using Java Mail API to create a my message, and then we are setting to whom we need to send. The from is always the support email, 2 is the recipient, and subject and text, and then we are calling sending. So if there is any exception in sending, we are also throwing the exception again back. Okay, so nothing complex, simple sending the email stuff, but we have not yet configured to where we need to send email and all this configuration. So as I said, we are not going to use the actual service providers like Gmail or Yahoo Mail, something like that. Instead, we are going to use a utility called MailHog. So it is a very nice utility for local development and testing perspective. So here we can use as a Docker image, and then we can configure our application to send emails to this service. So I'm going to configure MailHog in our infra.yaml file. So let me go to open this infra. So here after this I'm going to configure MailHog, and this is the latest version of the image, and then I'm configuring this, and 1025 is the actual mail port, and this is the GUI port. 8025 is the GUI port. So we can check what the emails we have sent and received, so we can check here. Okay, now I'm going to restart this infra. Okay, so let me go and restart the infrastructure. So it is going to start our MailHog also. Meanwhile, I'll go ahead and add, we have all the methods here, and we also need to configure mail properties. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'll configure all the properties with the defaults. So here we are configuring the email properties, like we are taking mail host as the environment variable. If it is not there, we are going to use localhost, and then default port is 1025, and we can pass the placeholder values, otherwise it's going to take this default value. So this is the configuration. But if you are actually talking to any service like Gmail or any other third-party provider, you need to configure these things accordingly. But these values are going to work just fine with our MailHog. So let us go ahead, and we have configured this. And what else we need to do? Right now we have handled only this one. Let us inject the notification service here, private final notification service, and once we receive this, let us go ahead and send the notification. And also let us configure for other events. So we have basic implementation in place. Now let us restart all these services. And order service and notification service. I hope all the containers have started successfully. Here, yes, MailHog also is running. Cool. Now let us wait for all the services to be up. Yes, all of them are up, it seems. Cool. Now let us go ahead and open the MailHog UI, localhost 8025. So this is the GUI for MailHog, and right now there are no emails here. Now if we go to Postman and try to place an order, so order is created successfully. Now we should be getting, the first one is order created notification. Here you can see order created notification, and dear so and so, your order is placed with so and so order number. So we got the first email, and immediately we also got the delivered notification also. So our mail notifications is working fine. So let us place an order which is going to be cancelled, maybe giving a invalid country name. So I'm going to give India 123, and it is going to be cancelled. So first it is going to create a created notification event, and then it is going to give a order cancel notification also. So let us wait. So order cancel notification also received. So can't deliver to the location. This is the reason. So this way we can we are sure that our application is working fine. We are able to consume the events, and it is sending the emails to the user. So maybe we need to simulate some way to simulate an order error event, but you get the point. This is how you can consume the messages from RabbitMQ, and you are able to send email notifications to your customers as well. Cool. But again, as I mentioned, we are using outbox pattern, and there is a chance that we are going to get duplicate emails. So what we are going to implement is we are going to create a new table that stores for every event that we received. It is going to contain each event is going to contain event ID that is supposed to be unique. So we are going to create a table, and then every time we receive an event, we are going to check whether this event ID is already present in our table. If it is, we are going to skip processing this event. Otherwise, we are going to continue processing that. So let's implement that logic. I am going to create a new flyway migration script here with this v1 create order events table. So here we are simply storing the event ID. We are not storing any other information, but for any business reason, if you want to store other fields also, like payload or order number, anything, you can store that information also. But here we are storing only event ID. We are just interested to check if this is a duplicate event or not. And each event ID should be a unique one. So we are storing it as a unique column. So with this, let us go ahead and create a JPA entity and then repository as well. So here I am going to create these two classes. One is for order entity, order event entity. So this, again, you are all familiar with this. We have event ID, which is unique, and then created it, updated it, so set us and get us, nothing fancy. And we have order event repository, again simple JPA repository for order entity, event entity. And this is something probably we haven't talked about. So earlier you might have seen find by with some things, find by username, find by order number, things like that. But spring-data-jpa also provides this exist by feature, where if you want to check the existence of some record based on some criteria, you can prefix with exist by and your criteria, which is going to return boolean. So here we want to check whether the given event ID already exists or not. So we created a boolean return method exist by event ID. So by simply we can check by calling this method whether this event ID exists or not. Okay, so now with this in place, what we are going to do, let me inject this into private final order event repository and add this here. Now if you notice clearly, I am violating some of the things that I mentioned in the previous videos. I mentioned do not expose your entities to the outside of domain package. But here we are making both our order event entity and repository public, and we are using them from an events package. Why? So this is the thing you need to remember. There are rules and guidelines, and all of them are created with a certain purpose and context. We should not take everything as a blind rule and then blindly follow it. We should think about, is it make sense, or is it fine to violate this? What is the cost of violating this? So here I don't see any reason to create a DTO again and then map entity to DTO and then sharing it, because we are not publishing this information to any web response. We are not, there is no purpose creating another entity DTO and then copying and back and forth. So it is the same entity, and there is no good reason to create a DTO for this. So I decided to use this entity itself and expose the interface repository also, and then use it. So you always need to evaluate, should I follow this best practice or pattern, or is it relevant, or what is the cost of violating this best practice. So here I don't see any danger in violating by exposing this interface outside of this domain package. On the other hand, simply creating the DTOs and then copying to and fro from entity to DTO is unnecessary overhead. I don't see any benefit doing that. So that's why I am directly injecting the repository itself into the handler. So now what I can do, once I receive the event, I can call order event repository dot exist by id, and we can take this, and instead of that we can check, and okay, not log dot warning. Okay, we haven't created logger, so let's create logger. Okay, so what we are doing, let us put this also as a log statement. So here I am checking whether this event exists or not. If it is, simply logging this receive duplicate order created event with event ID, so and so, and returning it. We are not proceeding to process this one. So let us go ahead and use this for other handlers as well. But it is going to be a different event. Okay, cool. So here let us change it to log.info. Alright, so we have all the logic in place. So even if order service publishes duplicate events, we are going to check that, and then we are going to return if it is already in place. But once we process this, we should be persisting that information, right? Otherwise, every time it is going to check and there is no record. Once we process this event, we should store that event into the table. So let us go ahead and create other entity, other event entity, and create this with event ID. So here we have a constructor which takes just event ID and initializing it. So we are going to use that, and where is this? So we are going to save this. So we need to do this for all the handlers. So that way, when an event came into our system for the first time, first we are going to check it doesn't exist, and then it sends the email notification and then save that event information into our database. Next time, if that same duplicate event occurs, it checks and this is true, and it is not going to proceed further. It is going to return from here itself. So we have all the functionality in place, and now let us go ahead and restart our notification service. So in order to check this, we some way need to publish a duplicate event. Okay, so let us go ahead and try to publish a duplicate event. We can publish an event to this RabbitMQ from the administration GUI itself. So here, if you go to exchanges and then click on orders exchange, here there is a section called publish message. So here you can define what is the routing key, and if you want to set some headers, you can set it, and then you can specify the payload. So the routing key is new orders. If you remember, our configuration is like we have configured the name of the queue for new orders as new orders, and we are also using this as our routing key. So we are going to use that in our routing key, and we are going to publish the payload as application/JSON type content type. So we are setting content underscore type equals to application/JSON. And now the payload is, if you remember, we are almost sending the same payload that we received the order. In addition to that, we are processing and then we are creating a new order number and event ID before publishing the event. So we ourselves are going to include those two fields. So here I am including order number and specifying it can be ORD111. Okay, again event ID. So if our application is processing these events end to end, this is how the application is going to send the event. So it is again event -111. Okay, so application sends event. This is how it is going to send. So I am sending this for the first message. So now if I go and check in the logs of notification service, so here I am in notification service. Here I can see this order number 111 has been successfully created successfully, and then I sent that message to the end user. But now here you can also see that is information stored into order events table as well. Now if I send the same payload one more time, here I send it again with the same event ID, then it is going to log here that received duplicate order created event with so and so event ID. Okay, so this way we are ensuring that we are not processing the duplicate messages, and I think that is all the functionality that we would like to implement in our notification service. So right now the only thing that remains is updating our task file and dockerizing the service and also creating the GitHub action for notification service. So let's go ahead and do that. First I'm going to update the task file to build this cat notification service as well. So this is all we need to update in our task file. This is fine, and let us create notification service pipeline also. So here I'm going to change it to notification service. So here let me update it. And here as well. So these are the places we need to update. Rest of the setup is fine, nothing to change. And infra we have already defined mail hog and notification database, and RabbitMQ is common, so nothing to change there. In apps, as I mentioned, our notification service has almost similar configuration as order service, so let us change this. Let me update it here and here. So we don't need this property, and it is notifications DB, and let me check it. It is going to be notifications DB, fine. And what else we need to change? We also need to provide mail configuration. So if you check in our notification service properties here, we are assuming mail host is 127.0.0 localhost, right? But it is supposed to be what are the name that we gave to our mail hog. So here if we go to under mail service, we are changing it to mail hog. This is the host name, and you can specify mail port also 1025. Okay, so this is all we need to support. For mail hog, it doesn't matter what you pass username and password, they are going to be ignored. So these are the two things that we need to, in fact we don't even need to provide this one. It is same default also, but for the clarity I am just specifying it here. So now configuration of Docker. Again, here it is not orders DB, it is notifications DB. So we need to specify that. And also we have mail hog and condition service ready, service started. So we did not implement any health checks, so I'm specifying it just needs to be started. Okay, so this is all we need to configure for notification service. So now what we'll do, we'll build the entire project and then run all the services in Docker Compose and then place an order and see everything is working fine or not. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I have just started all the services in Docker Compose by simply running task restart. It built all the Docker images for 3 services and then started all the containers in the Docker Compose. So from my IDE itself, I'm not running any services. So everything is running in our Docker Compose. Here, if you go ahead and check, we can see all the services, both the infrastructure and the services, microservices itself are all running in Docker now. So now let us go ahead and check. Yeah, RabbitMQ is configured and everything is fine. By now, let us check. First check, are there any emails? So now there are no emails here. And now let us place an order with valid data. Now it is going to create a new order, and then now we should, if everything works fine end to end, we should see, yeah, so here it is got created notification and delivered notification. So we can see it is our order service is taking the order, and then it talked to catalog service to verify whether this product is running fine or not, and then it is sending the message to RabbitMQ, and notification service received that message and then sent the email. So by simply placing the order, we are verifying that it is communicating with all the services and it is working fine. Okay, so this is how we can build this notification service, and we have already Dockerized everything also. Okay, so I think this is done. And if we go and check our list, task list, we have done all of this. We have implemented a basic skeleton, RabbitMQ configuration, implemented event listeners and send emails, Dockerized the notification service. So we are done with this also. So in the next video, we are going to create our API gateway, and it is going to take all the API requests and then delegate to catalog service or order service depending on the URL pattern. So that's what we're going to work on next. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.